All right, so in this lesson, we are looking at the volume of prisms. The volume is like how much 3D space an object takes up. If you're going to fill the object up with like water, for example, it would be like how much water do you need to fill this up? So it's like how much fits inside the object. And we're going to be specifically focusing on prisms today. So prisms, remember, are shapes that have the same face on the front and the back, or the top and the bottom. So examples would be like a rectangular prism that looks something like this. Okay, or a triangular prism that looks like this. Or a cylinder that looks like this. Okay, these would all be prisms because they have the same face on the top and the bottom, or the front and the back, depending on how it's oriented. Okay, so there's a simple formula, and I'm going to use this picture here to show you what I mean. This is a prism here because it does have the same shape on the top and the bottom. And I can see that on the top layer I'm going to use blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares or cubes, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 layers here. So in total, if I was going to look at the volume of this shape, it'd be 6 times 4. How many are on the base, and then how many layers there are. So it's always the same formula you can use every single time. It's going to be the area of the base, how many are on the base, times the height of the prism. Okay, so I'm going to be using pink for the base for my calculations here, and then height is going to be in blue today. Okay, just a quick reminder too, area of a rectangle is length times width, area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Okay, so let's do some examples. All right, so this shape here is a rectangular prism. For rectangular prisms, it doesn't really matter actually what you think, like which face you want to use as your base, but I'm just going to use this face here as my base. So the base is 2 yards by 11 yards. And then the height of my prism is going to be 7. This is going to be the height. So when I do my volume, it's going to be area of base times height. So it'll be 2 yards times 11 yards times 7 yards. Some students like to remember this as length times width times height, which is fine, but I don't love that because then you can't extend that to any other shapes. It only works for rectangular prisms. Whereas if you use this formula, area of base times height, that works for any prism you want to use, even if it's not a box or rectangular prism. Okay, so 2 times 11 times 7 is equal to 154 yards cubed. Because we've multiplied 3 measurements with units of a yard, then it's yards cubed. So volumes will always have units cubed. Okay, so that is the volume of that rectangular prism. Let's do 2 triangular prisms because they're a little bit more tricky. For the triangular prisms, we always want to use the triangle as the base. Even if it's flipped on its side, it doesn't matter. You always choose the triangle to be your base, because that's what makes it a prism. It has the triangle on the front and the back, or the top and the bottom. And so we're going to do volume equals area of base times height. So if I were to flip this on its side and put that triangle on the bottom, then the height of the prism would be this 16 here. So this is going to be the height, and that is the base. Okay, so the area of the base is going to be, so the area of any triangle will be base times height divided by 2. So that is my base area, 10 times 12. We can see that triangle has, the bottom is length 10, the height is 12, and then we're dividing by 2 because it's a triangle. And then I'm multiplying by the height here, which is 16 inches. So area of base times height, when I multiply all those things together, 10 times 12 divided by 2 is 60, and 60 times 16 is 960, and it's inches cubed. So that is the volume of that triangular prism. Okay, so same thing every time. We're going to have an area of the base. It's a triangular prism, that will always be the triangle. And then we're going to multiply by the height. So here the base area would be 3 inches times 4 inches divided by 2. 3 and 4 are the base and the height of that triangle. And then the height of the entire prism, if I flip that on its side, would be 7 inches. So 3 times 4 divided by 2 is 6, and 6 times 7 is 42. Don't forget your units, they'd be inches squared here. Okay, there you go. That's how to do the volume of a prism.